Eventually, there's another internet that's launched. Eventually. That might be interfacing with crypto in a way, like a crypto internet. And that could be what on the blockchain, you know, if they're mining all of these bitcoins and all of this other stuff. Well, back when that was first released, there's talk about math equations and how that information could be used to build things in the future. An internet that is the blockchain, I think there are already decentralized forms of
Canadian
that.
Prepper, I forget the name of the lady. Canadian Prepper had a woman on just the other day that had she basically said all the stuff I had been saying about Bitcoin for the past couple of years. That it's not as advanced as you think it is. It really is just nothing floating ethereally out in the cloud. We're using real energy to produce and make the stuff and to keep it in a state of existence, because you see, gold, you expend some energy, you put it out of the ground, you put it in a safe, and it exists permanently. Your house could burn down, you could have a damn ice age, it would still be there. Bitcoin, you constantly need the generator running for it to exist. You're always spending energy on its existence, you know, and that it can be hacked. And what I said to ChatGTP, I said, with the advent of D-Wave diabetic quantum computers, diabetic colder than interstellar space, for the chip to have this kind of interdimensional 1 is 0 and 0 is 1 at the same time functionality, right? With the D-Wave quantum computers, and this is literally what this lady who's a big stock market and gold guru was saying, only she didn't bring up the quantum computer, she just said that it's hackable. And that's what I was saying, is that, like, governments, a smaller government, like an Iran, for instance, could put all their chips, instead of a nuclear weapon, into making a D-Wave quantum computer, and then use that to hack the blockchain and steal all the Bitcoin, or at least enough of it. Because if you stole
That would
all
have to
of
be
it, it'd
very
worthless.
specific. That's like reality editing. I don't think it's
Well, no,
gonna get to
I
that
asked. This lady just said that ChatGTP was hackable. I asked ChatGTP if it could be hacked as well, being that it was itself an AI, but the conclusion that it came to is, yeah, a D-Wave quantum computer being operating totally on different levels of shit could fucking brute force eventually hack basically any AI or blockchain.
It sounds like a science fiction idea, and it sounds cool. I just don't think that would ever happen. But what did happen is that when Bitcoin was created, they surely mined a percentage of it,
Or kept a percentage
of it, yeah.
yeah.
And I confirmed that. It was like 30% or something like that.
Huh.
And so early on, yeah, then they had disinformation campaigns of like news smear campaigns about Bitcoin, like, oh, Bitcoin's not going to be successful, don't invest in it. I was sitting there looking at the data about the halving of Bitcoin, and when the difficulty, it gets more difficult and there's less of them and the computing power goes up, if it didn't fail, and it didn't, statistically it was going to be worth, I think, at least 8 times its value when the next halving happened, within like a 18-month period.
Of the half of that's been discovered versus the half that hasn't been discovered.
Well, it's just if you had a statistical graph of, like a line graph, where there's difficulty and amount of Bitcoins, and there is a convergence point over time where there's half the amount available to mine, the difficulty gets more,
of course, but
difficult. If you need more,
it's just like getting a higher level.
Power.
It's just like getting a higher level in frickin' Skyrim, and you need more XP.
Sure, but it is worth something.
This is an obvious scheme, because these guys who invented Bitcoin put it out with this arbitrary difficulty level of oh, it would be so difficult when this many were mined, and it would be so difficult when this many are mined, and you're just filling out basically
consistent,
a bullshit Sudoku sheet in order to unlock a Bitcoin.
It is consistent, but look, the idea is that when it started, people aren't using the idea of, oh, the government has supercomputers that are mining this out.
Well, they didn't have the D-Wave when... D-Wave wasn't invented yet when Bitcoin was.
Well, you wouldn't need that.
No, I mean just to hack it, like...
If that were true, I'd love to see it. It sounds cool, like I said. It sounds like a science fiction thing. But what I'm saying is that when this was starting off, it was that people generally publicly look at this as something where they're not people who are like taking advantage of it right then and there. People would look at this and think, oh, like there aren't like massive farms for this yet.
Essentially,
the thing is, they had to make sure that there is a treasury of Bitcoin.
see,
Then
like,
there's a treasury of Litecoin, altcoin, whatever.
essentially anybody that starts a cryptocurrency is like the guys who created Bitcoin, only we're just not in the shadows. The dudes who created Bitcoin are in the shadows. Like, I mean, you're just a guy, and I could do this. You could do this with anything. I could come out with, like, 1,000 bottle caps and tell people that each one is hidden, and they get more difficult to find as you go along, and because there's only 1,000 bottle caps that got my signature or whatever verification proof on it of authenticity. You do this, this is like the freaking stupid tulip bulb thing that happened in Europe back in like the early 1900s when they did a whole Ponzi scheme on tulip bulbs like it was the freaking stock market.
But part of what people felt was so appealing about it is the decentralization of it.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is like when these shadow individuals want to cash out, they'll just sell their Bitcoin for dollars.
Yeah. Or other currencies, depending on how they want to.
Like they literally invented it just so that your participation in it would give it value, so that they could sell out.
Yeah, but it was taking hold as what it is it's like it's cryptography. So it is still consistent of what it is, that it has difficulty levels. It did start from it started from what it was at the beginning, and it is consistent. People could say, oh, well, it isn't, like, it doesn't have value. Well, it does, based on whatever it is that the blockchain has.
It's got like the same value. It's got the same value as like one of Hunter Biden's freaking paintings. It's in the clouds. It doesn't exist. It's ethereal. It's
but
not out there.
It does have it has infrastructure around it though. So it took time. See, when it was starting, people said, oh, well, it might not get a lot of infrastructure.
You don't
it could take
think
a lot of
the
time.
water or the gas is valuable because the pipes it comes in. You don't think the electricity is valuable because of the frickin' power grid.
But it's a hard code of what it is, though. That's what I'm saying.
Like we're preaching like these people. You're preaching like oh, this car brand that I made, Mercedes. Let's pretend that I'm the guy who made it, Mercedes, way back when you first started. It has value because I put so much work into it. Nobody gives a fuck. Can you sell? The only thing that gives it value is the ability to trade it for something else. It's not like gold where you can take a little piece of it and stretch it out into a wire that's a mile long and use it for all kinds of technology or jewelry or.
But the scarcity of it is actually at the difficulty level.
That's like a psychological mind game.
It is in a way, but also not, because it does have a math equation behind it. So where that computing power could actually be, that when the blockchain might contribute to AI development, or it contributes to other things. See, if it really is useful for AI development, I'm pretty sure it definitely is, then that makes it more valuable. in fact, what that is to AI development is probably what the
I wouldn't
what
think
the
it would be
future of it
useful
is.
to AI development because it's just like a digital abacus. Like it's just like a padlock.
It's an equation that hasn't been solved though. So the more that it would learn on that, it's not just like a 2 + 2. It's like way more sophisticated, but it's also consistent.
Yeah.
So it's like calculating pi, right? But at the same time,
I told ChatGTP to calculate pi one time in the hopes that if I looked in the direction of California, you'd see a poof of smoke rise off in the distance at some point.
see, is the blockchain used for sophisticated AI development? Okay, but so like I said, it's decentralized, right? People were wondering when is it going to get regulated. So people are like, oh, it has anonymity, but it also has an idea of maybe someday they regulate it. Well, the regulation.
Yeah, I heard like someday. I heard that the thing that's got everybody with the heebie-jeebies about that is if the government does take it over and regulate it, the IRS is coming after your ass. Everybody that sat there and profited off of it.
See, the thing is, the exchanges have to answer to the government. The government can say, all these exchanges comply with the reporting of taxes or whatever, and that's what that is. And they already did that. And it's really simple for somebody who has to adhere to regulations. The average person, it's not going to be a problem for them. It's just the idea that they can regulate it, so it is even more infrastructure for an economy of the future, where when they get rid of the dollar, they already have another cryptocurrency for the Fed coin, which is when it gets to a point where the difficulty of Bitcoin, all these other coins, it's harder, they then have less of them. The price of it goes up. Eventually, they have people exchanging dollars for the digital dollar, for the Bitcoin, for whatever. And it becomes to the point where the internet is also at these leverages of regulations and no more privacy and mass surveillance.
As far as I understand it, the other coins don't have a limit to the amount of units that they can have the way Bitcoin does.
No, there's a set amount. It's that
No, if you decided to start Zach Coin tomorrow, you could decide how many coins you wanted.
Yeah.
So they don't have a limit. Like
The difference of this is that there were coins that are basically like scammers promoting them. It's a pump and dump scheme.
yeah, but the whole thing is a pump and dump. It just hasn't been dumped yet. It's still pumping.
No. No, because
What is physically
to tear
different?
down
What
but-
is different about Bitcoin physically from any one of these?
because it's the
currencies?
original.
So
well, first of all, it's the original. Then there was Litecoin, or it's like a silver one.
it's still fundamentally the same mechanics. It's the same systems of play.
Okay. The way that Bitcoin was designed, though, is that the actual difficulty level and how that fluctuates over time,
Yeah.
it has to do with the cutting edge computing power. And it also is not that it's just one guy controlling it, like when someone makes these altcoins.
Dude, that's another question. And I wonder if the frickin' guy who invented it even thought about it. The dude who invented, somebody needs to tweet at the guy who invented the D-Wave quantum computer. Bro, you need to assign that giant glorified Commodore 64 to some Bitcoin mining, bro. You could probably mine a whole Bitcoin in like 5 minutes with that thing.
Can a D-Wave quantum computer interfere with the blockchain?
Use the word hack. Use the word hack. That's what I said to ChatGTP. It was like, yeah, theoretically, a quantum computer could totally brute force the blockchain.
Hack the blockchain by brute force, potentially. This is asking ChatGPT.
All right.
It says the message you submitted was too long. Please edit it. And
Oh
resubmit.
yeah, it's gonna give you all kinds of nonsense. I've written
This
whole
is literally all I
paragraphs.
typed into it.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It doesn't want to answer that
I'm
question.
just gonna copy paste it again.
I screen record ChatGTP whenever I use it so that when it does funny shit.
The message you submitted was too long. See, this is kind of funny. This would be like if the D-Wave quantum computer hacked ChatGPT at this point, that it disrupted ChatGPT's computation of this idea. Okay, I started a new chat with it.
But I mean, that was my
Short
proof.
answer, no. Not now and not realistically in the foreseeable future. See, like I said, it sounds like a science fiction idea. It says D-Wave is not the type of quantum computer needed to crack blockchains. That uses quantum annealing, which is extremely specialized. They're good at optimization problems, not at running general quantum algorithms.
Look, I talked to it for a while to get it to fucking, we're talking about pure processing power versus this insurmountable equation here.
It elaborated though, ready?
Yeah.
To
Well,
break blockchain cryptography, you would need a universal gate-based quantum computer capable of running things like Shor's algorithm for breaking elliptic curve signatures. D-Wave cannot run Shor's algorithm. So this is also at the point of like the bank level encryption, the 256-bit ECC. Blockchains like Bitcoin, Ethereum, and most others use it's another 256-bit elliptic curve thing. So, but this is at like there are some levels of encryption. If you had a supercomputer, brute force it, you can break through that. This is at a different level of a 256-bit encryption because it has it requires 2 to the 256 power and then something like 10
but so that's the point.
77 extra.
That's the point, is that whatever equation a D-Wave has to do in order to hack versus a normal computer, a D-Wave is sending half of its chip, its qubits, into an unknown dimension that they sit there and talk about it like it's wizardry, and they don't know. It could be Satan messing with an abacus for all we know, where the ones and zeros go to make a D-Wave work. But it's like the quarks particle inside the human body that phases into a different dimension and then pops back. We don't know where it goes.
So yeah,
Like,
what you're saying is like
all the
an unstable computer.
The thing that gives the D-Wave its power is that because half of its chip exists in a freaking different dimension, all the ones are zeros at the same time. So it's
called noisy qubits.
It's doing twice the work basically. So like you're talking about, it needs to run this and that. That's just a question of format.
So it's at
You know
5,000
what I mean?
to 10,000 qubits that it can do today for breaking cryptography of a blockchain. It's
I think
millions.
it's qubits.
I'll call it qubits because it sounds like a squibbit. Noisy qubit, squibbit, whatever. But it's a lot more power needed for that.
And anyway, what I